Hi, welcome to the Pursuit of the Truth. So I'm going to play you a clip from Sky News where a bishop was asking Donald Trump to be mindful of the citizens that he's going to be in control of in America and the world, I guess, to do with migration and transgender and I mean, I'll try and put a clip, put the picture as a screenshot, but the faces of Donald and his vice and his family and the people that were sitting close to him, rolling their eyes, looking away, looking angrily at this priest or bishop for counselling. I mean, isn't that why they're there? But what interests me in this, other than, I think that picture of how the disdain they gave shows, what type of people they are and what we can expect. And the fact that, unfortunately, a lot of Americans voted this man in, and they're probably, I don't think, are going to benefit from him in his disregard for humanity. I mean, in some ways, at least I give him this, that at least he answers questions. Unlike most politicians who have been trained, to only speak about what they've gone there to speak about and only answer those questions and bat away questions and not answer them, whereas he will give off his off-the-collar remarks. But I suppose what interests me, because I don't want to get into this whole hoo-ha that I suppose YouTubers and journalists are going to get into, as they did last time, is look at what can be done if the choice is made. When you have the old guard and status quo, then everything is always the same and nothing changes. They just have these little band-aid changes. Usually the two, Democrat and Republic, or Labour and Conservative, they're very similar. They all want to keep things almost the same, but just change certain bits. One for business, one for healthcare and etc. Or the people, whatever. But what interests me, he can just. Donald Trump shows that if the politician was right thinking, that the good things could go. Not that I don't think he's going to, but the fact that he can just pull out of the Paris climate just like that. Now, I don't know how easy that is for them to do, and I know he did do it before. But usually when you say, "Oh, can we do this?" Why do investigations like the COVID investigation, like all these different investigations, the post office one and Primados and all those? Why they all have to take 10 years? When when they say, "Well, can't we peace come now?" And it takes months and months of agreement back and forth. Whereas Donald Trump can stand up there and just get rid of the Paris climate agreement, or can sign himself out of the WHO, or imply tariffs on Canada and China and etc., or ban TikTok from his country. Whenever people talk about, or how do we safeguard our children from this stuff, that recently Keir Starmer's talking about, and it seems impossible for these countries to get a hold of these mostly American organizations like Facebook and Instagram and etc., and to tell them to actually check the stuff that they're putting on, rather than letting AI and letting stuff go through, because they really want to generate, these days it's like, this is what you looked at and now I'm going to show you loads of these similar things. That's the whole way of getting you to stay there. And so that's why they're not really checking what's going on like they used to do in the old days when they first started these things. But they will take years saying they can't do anything and they've got no power. And yet President Biden and Donald Trump can just eradicate TikTok and just say, well, it can no longer be in America unless they have an American, probably Elon Musk, buying into it. And like the bishop is talking about, please be careful of the people that you're governing. Why isn't it that people stand up there and actually talk about the real truths of, like, let's create a society, let's create a world for all of us where we can all live nicely with each other, where we can all benefit from everything that we've been given freely. All the things that I talk about in the Pursuit of Truth, no one ever says any of those things. And people will vote for these people like Donald Trump or whatever because he's different and he's not like the stuffy normal politician, and then people say maybe it can relate to him. But he's really talking about money, he's talking about control, he's talking about the same old things as the other politicians are, but he just doesn't do it in a very political or well-spoken manner, you know. But it's the same thing. It's all about control and money and the status quo. But just with him, it's maybe with other politicians about like the image of America around the world and controlling that. Whereas with Donald, it's more about making America great again, as it were. But there's no one talking about, well, let's actually eradicate, world hunger or all these things that we could do, because there's no shortage of food on this place that we found ourselves upon. There's no shortage of anything. There's no shortage of ideas or resources or anything. The only shortage is our own way that we're living, our own mindset of like saying that, well, this country is ours and we only have to look after that and not everyone else. Or we can do some pretense by some agreements and give a little bit of money but then charge tax and all that, but not actually sort of get rid of money, get rid of all these borders and see ourselves as what we really are, as one human being species, and doing all that. But what it shows is that these things can be done if they really want to, but no one really wants to do them, because Donald Trump can just sign out of things in just one moment. As other politicians will say, oh, we'll have to have an investigation on that and that'll take 10 years. And that's probably why he gets voted, because of that. But the problem is they're still not saying the right things. They're still saying all the same things, just in a different way. Take care, take it easy, God bless, and peace.
The morning after the dizzying day before, and a post-inaugural tradition. The new president, his family, his inner circle, gathering for a service at Washington's National Cathedral. And prayers to project unity after a bitter campaign. It was a reminder of the variety of this nation.
Bless all whose lives are closely linked with ours.
A nation that must now lay its trust in one man and his way. And that was the blunt message from the pulpit.
Please be seated.
From the priest to the president.
Let me make one final plea, Mr. President. Millions have put their trust in you. In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children, some who fear for their lives.
Just look at the reactions. Hard to know where to look.
They may not be citizens or have the proper documentation, but the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals. I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away.
Safe to say, unimpressed.
And that I will
On this first full day of the new presidency, Mr. Trump's adversary-turned ally, Marco Rubio, sworn in as America's top diplomat.
So help you God. Congratulations, Mr. Secretary.
With a White House direction to follow and global challenges to face. Back at the White House, the removal vans were in and the old furniture was out. And the comings and goings too. We spotted the Australian ambassador with his foreign minister from a meeting with the new national security advisor.
I met with Mike Waltz.
And how was that?
Excellent.
Yes?
Yeah, we're very honoured to be here on the first working day.
And so beyond the flurry of announcements that we have already heard, the executive orders that were signed in the Oval Office behind me overnight, more announcements today, there is a real sense of anticipation. The cameras are poised here, there, everywhere, waiting to see what the unpredictable president might do next.
What did you think of the sermon?
And around the other side, in the Rose Garden, he was back from church.
What did you think of the service?
What did you think? Did you like it? Did you find it exciting? Not too exciting, was it?
The feel here, now, from just a day ago, is so very different.